and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Hey, people absent today, are they all with notice?
Yes, they are.
Ellen, yes. Okay, our first public comment. Nobody here, but is there anybody online, Mark?
Just refreshing.
Okay.
Nope.
Okay, well, we'll leave that open for a bit, and we'll go on to the minutes of the meeting. So the regular minutes of the August 9th meeting.
So moved.
Is there a-
Second.
Are there any corrections that anybody has seen? All those in favor?
Aye.
Current bills payable. That is attachment 2 and 3.
Zero zero five.
2, the manifest is yes, 3005 and 6.
Yep.
For any questions? Yes, Howard?
I do, if I could back up a little bit for the 21-20.
Questions on this? Any motion for the paying of the bills?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Superintendent, assistant superintendent report updates, hiring and school opening.
So we still have one position, the social studies position, but we are very close. If the board, I just want to make sure that you're still comfortable with my having the authority to hire, because hopefully I might be able to wrap that up by the end of this week. We are just
Why would
really.
we take that away from you?
Well, I just wanted to make sure, we just final stages of looking at references and so forth, and I think we'll be able to bring closure to that hopefully by the end of the day on Thursday.
So just to clarify, we already voted to give you that.
Yeah.
You
authority.
did, and
Yeah.
you've resumed your meetings, but it was for the summer, so I just wanted to make sure you're
Go ahead,
comfortable.
Howard.
Would the chair be more comfortable with the motion?
Yes, I would,
I would move that we authorize the superintendent to continue
yes.
for personnel search until all staff positions.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. We are still the bus company is still short 5 drivers, and so.
But they
yes.
had a pipeline, right?
They do have some
They have
folks
a
in
pipeline.
queue, so hopefully, that will improve over the next couple weeks. Or they will try to use charter drivers to make things work. But our hope will be that gets smoothed out sooner than later. We have been having a lot of, traffic repair educators. We've been hiring. And I'm not exactly sure where our number is. It's kind of a fluid number at the moment in terms of looking at as kids shift and their needs. But we have had traffic. We are making progress there. We've got good traffic for substitutes. That's always the challenge, that will people take the jobs? People will apply and go through the process, but sometimes the people don't follow through with accepting positions, as they become available. But we have done quite a bit of work to hopefully improve the substitute experience. We have updated some training. We have some little gifts for them that hopefully will make them feel like, they're joining a team, a lunch bag and a few things to hopefully, it's a hard position trying to make it feel like, people to recognize the important part that they play in the role of the education process. And we are hopeful that will also help with retention, that if we can make it a more positive experience, more, better training, that will support.
So it's my understanding, based on the schools, the Sandwich is in the best shape overall.
Yeah.
Elementary school is second, and the high school, we have the hardest time getting substitutes in Paris.
Correct. I think people are often, I would say, more comfortable at the elementary level is often easier entry point for people. But we have what we call call them permanent subs, but it's really a multi-day sub, somebody who's willing to commit to 4 days a week. That then, they're kind of our first group that we're pulling on. I do believe the high school has had some movement there. I think that they have hired 2 people to serve that role, which is a big help. That hopefully will alleviate some of the burden we were feeling last year pulling on staff to cover classes. We had absences. You recall the board did support paying for them to do that during their planning periods, but it's exhausting, right? Like just it's a way of wearing out our staff. And so being able to strengthen that again, I think will make a big difference. So at the moment, that seems like it's heading in the right direction.
Have we ever done a data dig on substitutes? What percent on one day, what percent of 2 days, what percent ultimately at the other end may become permanent substitutes?
Yeah, we haven't, I mean, we certainly could do that, or, I think, I say that we probably could run that fairly easily off of our program, but sometimes the report that I think should be easy is not.
Oh, no,
always easy.
I'm not saying.
But it would be interesting, to look at how many times, if people subbed and.
It's one thing to come in and be
multi
there for 2
days.
weeks or
Right.
something like that. It's another
Yeah.
thing to be in a different group of kids every day.
Coming along, but hopefully, as I said, by the end of this week, we will have all of our teaching positions, our final one resolved.
Considering the news about the teacher shortage across the country, kudos and thank you.
Well, and kudos and thank you to our staff, that returning staff, and to our administrators who really, they hit the ground really hard in early spring, trying to fill what we could fill, and have been really tenacious about it. So
It shows.
Correspondence, superintendent, board secretary, board
Have nothing to report on the report.
old business.
Yes, we do. Well, I remember the stadium seating issue was being postponed to this meeting, so it would be in business. this
So,
meeting.
I think that is a further postponement.
Okay.
New business. Strategic plan, discussion items. Moriarty, attachment number 4.
Well, they dusted this one off, didn't they?
So I just wanted to, the board had indicated, the conversation about strategic planning. So this is the strategic plan that was created. I believe this may be its 10th year. I think Mary Ellen Harmon was not the superintendent at the time, but she was at the table.
You are right, it was 10 years ago, I was on it.
Bill McCormick, I was on it.
So, I think that just to remind people that this is what has been in place, I think the way that it was always described to me more as strategic direction than a checklist. I will say that part of our work through the New England Association of Schools and Colleges, so that is the accreditation process, which our 9 through 12 has typically been accredited. We are up for reaccreditation, and we are expanding that to be 7-12. So the whole, our 7-12 will go through the accreditation process. And one of the things that really part of that work is really making sure people remember the vision and the mission and core beliefs, our values. So we will have some nice kind of posters that are being made to put up and to remind people of kind of that anchor point. We have referred to it over the years, but having it posted, I will say Amanda Downing has a good eye for trying to capture things, and Mr. Parsons as well. And I think they're going to be kind of, very vibrant, and hopefully, just reinvigorate that as a reminder. But I don't know that this evening, and more just wanted to at least bring it to the board's attention. Certainly, deeper discussions at a later date, but I wanted to at least be responsive.
Well, thank you. There was a time when I was not a board member.
That was only about 6 months ago, wasn't it?
It's very short.
So I really don't have a sense of the number of days that our students may have lost in-person education? Is there an
I
approach?
have that data. I don't have it readily available, but I can get that.
Let me explain why I'm asking or bringing up the issue. Um, First, in respect to the strategic plan, there is perhaps a reason to alter the plan with respect to time lost by students and whatever action this board may take in order to fill in those gaps. And I further explained that I think this is a much more serious issue for the lower grades, K through 4, than it is 5 on up. Because in those lower grade levels, we are building the skills that they will later use to learn independently. The reading skills and the math skills. Those are the fundamental pieces to what we do. And I have been struck to try to understand where we're going to find the time to do this, because automatically we're talking about time. I have some pretty disruptive ideas.
Shocking.
Paper vacation.
No. You know, for example, we could have Skills Friday. Nothing interferes with 3 hours on Fridays. I don't know. But there is a gap. Huge. And I don't know how huge the gap is in this district, because I don't know how much.
I will
But
put
we know there's something
We can
before us.
certainly, bring an update as to, kind of looking at that timeline. I think also, it may be helpful that on a national level, they are seeing, as we look at NWEA, which is the assessment that we use, and a large sample size, that gains are being made in terms of that learning loss. We also have that, locally to look at, and have been trying to be very strategic. As you said, with the younger grades, they're essential building blocks, and what might have been a benchmark is not necessarily a benchmark you can be looking at, because that gap of time, that March 2020 is really where, if a child was in kindergarten that year, from, was it March 16th
Mhm.
through the end of that school year, they were learning remotely, which is a big third of their first year of school. So that is, certainly an area where, again, trying to be incredibly strategic about how we fill in those gaps.
If I could, there are other implications as well.
Okay, public input. So I'm gonna check to see, since nobody is here in person, if there's any online. There are none online. Okay,
You're at 17 minutes.
well, I'm gonna talk about the announcements, and if they can chime in,
Good.
I'll take it on back. I'll go really slow.
That is not your style, Miss Carroll.
I'll try.
Trish could also provide an update on the school bus grants.
Oh,
that we just
that might
submitted.
be very good. because-
New
Okay,
information. School bus grant?
school bus grants.
So I came to the board, the first student as our provider, had an opportunity for us. We would have to apply for electric bus grants. The EPA came out with a program. So I was able to complete that grant process last Thursday. Put in for 5 electric buses, just under 2 million.
For 5?
For 5.
Boy, that's kind of surprisingly low as far as that might seem. What you had gotten for data, I think, 6
Right, but
months
this
ago.
is EPA price.
I understand.
So we'll see what
Are
happens.
these full-size buses?
These are full-size buses. I chose the oldest buses in the fleet to replace. I don't know if we will get any, or all, but, at least it was, an attempt. And
That's all we can do.
And first student would ultimately
Own
own
the
the
bus.
school district has to apply. as-
So are we kind of like a sponsor?
yeah, well, the
Get around
private
one
companies couldn't apply, only governmental entities. So on behalf of the private company, we
And I do want to commend, Ms. Temporino, the information we were waiting on for quite some time from First, which we needed to be able to take the grant. They provided that very late. Trish was able to pull it together.
Give
And,
it another
you know, that's,
deadline.
and we don't know if we'll get it,
No.
but it is certainly, we didn't put an application in, we wouldn't know. And, Trish really,
Can't
rolled up
win
her
without
sleeves
playing.
and got it done, so.
That's great.
Are we still on a course for the 14-seater?
We are, you can give them an update on that too. The wheels go round and round.
but no one wants to bid. So we went back out for a second time for requests for proposals. Went to all the local people, merchants, all of them. We went to Bluebird, we went to Alliance, all of the big ones as well, and got nothing back. So we are discussing a plan to move forward. Brian and I are coming up with some alternatives so that we can just move forward now. I think we've gone out twice for requests for proposals. The board has authorized the money. I think it's time to just move forward.
Could we use ESSER funds to purchase that bus?
I feel like
No.
that would be a bit of a stretch
Right.
right now.
But we have money set aside.
I know, I was just curious.
I think,
ETF.
um,
we do.
could maybe 2 years ago, if we, didn't have enough, like we had to space kids out. I feel like it, I
was
suppose
thinking
there's
about
the
delivering
prevention,
lunch.
there's the prevention piece.
And these little buses cannot do regular routes.
Right,
They're
Right.
multifunction activity vehicles.
right.
Not
For a
home to
teacher, they
school.
take a group of students to the science.
Or the golf team.
Or the
golf
golf team, or for life skills.
There's only
to
5
Hannaford.
people on the walk team.
Yes, but they have to get there.
I understand that.
So,
I have to get there.
I'd have to give more thought about whether or not we could, make that work.
Yes,
Thank you. Question, I guess, for Trish. The increase in electric rates, while that makes our solar array more valuable, it's going to cost us a bit more for the electricity we purchase.
Correct.
About 50%, right?
Did you have time to budget for that at the timing of the announcement?
No. But we've done a little bit better with oil than, well, Brian and I are working with oil company and pellet companies. So we're trying to make some room in there for electric. We've only got 2 bills for electric. Looks like I was going to provide an analysis for the board at the September meeting. But the co-op went up about 77% in their rates as opposed to like Eversource, which was over 100%. So we're better positioned there. We're looking for a silver lining.
More solar.
But it will definitely have an impact. I just don't have any hard numbers for you tonight.
Well, the announcement came at a very bad time in terms of budgets.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
It just,
We'd already done the budget.
Yeah.
Beginning of August, it was late
Right.
July, early August. Do we have any thinking or plans to return to an outdoor classroom curriculum in any way, shape, or form?
So, well, our hope is that people will be using the outdoors to continue to do that. I think like a field experience.
I'm talking, what you know I'm talking
Right,
about.
I think, my hope is that,
What would that be like? Of like a
What we
building?
did in 2020 where we had each class spend a day on page, and Everett Bennett created a curriculum
Okay.
that covered all 4 core competencies.
Yep.
I think our hope, we do have an dean of learning. My hope is that maybe at some point that individual will be at a point to hopefully kind of take that on and that we can keep that going. But, we are in a beginning stage of some growth, but we are trying to, continue to promote outdoor experiences. The Labernack Trail has been very well used, and very.
No incidents that I've heard.
Oh, none, no.
None.
It's been very positive. And it's so accessible. We did like our families at ILES do like a kind of a broad field trip form so that that space can be used without it being planned, on this day at this time we're going and really
So if the
allows.
teacher had a nice day, she
Yep.
could take her class
Yep.
down to
Yep.
do something.
Right, and easier accessibility. The sculpture walk is another one that people take quite a bit advantage of, so we'll continue to promote that, but I too would like to get back to that opportunity. That was a great opportunity at Page,
Oh,
and
To a kid, it was the best day of the year.
exactly, and I think we'll get there. It's just, it is having someone who can coordinate all of that.
Well, that's why the 14-seat bus
Yep.
doesn't
Yep, and
require
that helps.
all the fire drill, getting
Yep.
the 2 big buses in and out, and stuff like that.
And it helps to maybe do a class,
I'd
over
love
at
to
a
see it
time.
at class level. 14 covers a lot of our classes.
Yes.
Hang on. I go on
Did we get her to
what
30
time
yet?
are we-
6:25.
Damn.
You have announcements.
I have announcements.
Slow.
I have a question after you're done announcements.
Oh, good. Tuesday, August 30th, Interlake School Board Policy Review Committee here at the Humiston Building at 5:30 PM.
No school board.
Doesn't say that there is. Tuesday, September 13th, Interlake's School Board meeting, Humiston Building.
Madam Chair, I just want to provide notice I will not be at that meeting because that is the primary election day.
Oh, that's right.
With November. Okay, Policy Review Committee will be meeting at 5:30 and the regular school board will be meeting at 6 PM.
May I interrupt? I'm going to suggest maybe it would make sense to switch policy to the 27th, as I know Mr. Hanson is on.
That is a good idea.
Good idea.
27. Okay, so Tuesday, the 27th, will be the Policy Review Committee at 5:30 here at the Humiston Building. And the regular school board meeting will be at 6 PM.
I'm coming back from California on the 27th, but land at 4 in the afternoon. Bogan.
Yeah, I don't think. It's some of the night.
I might,
But that counts.
but I get to see my granddaughter, that's all.
That's doing this. Charlie, do you have anything else?
When we get to the stadium discussion, would we also have a list of upcoming infrastructure related things that we have our eyes on that could potentially, those funds could be used for?
So the capital improvement plan would probably be a good piece to bring to the table.
Please.
Uh-oh. It's down with Christian and Brian. Last one was updated in 2020.
And we did
I think
some
it's during-
changes.
right
I didn't
during
send you the,
Budget.
yeah, we made some changes during the budget. I just sent them a draft.
Shoot it out to me, please.
Do we have any, public input, Mark, at all?
Nope.
Tons.
6:28.
Yes, Mark.
It somewhat bothers me that we get very little community feedback at our board meetings. with a few exceptions. And I'm wondering if there's anything that we can do proactively that kind of brings the community into the school. Something I always think about.
I think it's a societal change to a certain degree,
Yeah,
Mark.
because-
I do too.
Because people are so busy these days. I mean, you see it in all, like, look at other town boards.
Oh, I know.
You see it.
Because Altrusa used to come in and do some reading, and there would be a lot of community involved.
Have you read Bowling Alone?
Yes.
But I do think that COVID is.
Have you read Battle for the American Mind?
No, I haven't.
And we do have, Altrusa is
They still-
continuing
they
their
still-
work, their literacy work. You know, coming in on a very
In the
focused
elementary
way,
school?
yes.
That's
As
awesome.
volunteers that, you know, they're a critical part of that, trying to close gaps.
Very good.
I don't know how often this happens, but it's really funny to me because it was 15 years ago that I was told Lehman wouldn't be invited into the school. I wanted to teach a business class to the seniors. Thank you, Jack Hardy. But in today's world, we're seeing uncertified teachers being brought in because they have an expertise in a certain category. Doesn't mean they're unsupervised by the classroom teacher.
I think volunteers, I think we have a very rich, you know, our communities are very rich with knowledge. I think the challenge, you know, in the strategic plan, it talks about, you know, wanting, you know, more volunteers
Mhm.
is that there is a level of management that does come on with having volunteers working in the school. And that, it's, how can we scale that up without overtaxing our current administrators who have a lot of responsibilities
I know.
and, you know, teachers as well. The Altrusa work has been very helpful. It's been very focused work. You know, we've been providing them direct training. It's a small enough group that we're able to really make sure that we're using their skill set well and supporting them in the work. It does become complicated to be able to have the support system. So it's a positive experience for the volunteer, positive experience for the students, positive experience for the adults. It's not as simple as just having people volunteer. It really is a piece that does take, I think, a level of support.
But even if it's a guest speaker,
I think absolutely. I think in, you know, the Greater Meredith program that we have, that partnership, that's a great opportunity. Michael Griffin, who is, you know, the executive director and our internship coordinator, that's a great opportunity to bring in a lot of people with different experiences.
Right.
So kids can even, there are things kids don't even know exist as potential jobs, and being able to have that exposure.
yeah, that's kind of.
That's a
my focus.
much easier lift to get more guest speakers or to get a database going of who has which strength. Then sometimes it is to have people coming in on a regular basis to do something and to be well planned for that.
Yes.
Just a quick question, Mary, with regard to volunteers. At what point, if at any, are we into background checks and with the
Yes.
fingerprinting and?
So they are we do go through a criminal background check. Absolutely.
Because that puts some people off.
Yeah, I think people, again, you know, if we had somebody who could help be in the outreach, I think it can create that comfort level, for people to know how they can, use their skill set and make that a positive experience. I think probably more intimidating is walking in for some to a school, right? If they haven't taught or haven't had that exposure working with kids.
Only for some people.
Then maybe the criminal background check. But we have such an incredibly, you know, rich communities that make up Interlakes. There is a lot of talent, and
Oh, huge.
being able to find a way to tap into that, but support it. I think just adding it is not. I think that might overwhelm the system.
Yeah, no, it's a mindset.
Yeah.
You know, who knows when the opportunity is going to present himself? You know, how do we find those
Right.
subject
That's the right
specific
fits, right?
volunteers?
Right.
But I think it's worth the effort.
Okay, so we're closing out the non-public officially.
No, the public comment.
A public comment, that's what I meant. Going into non-public under RSA 91A:3C. The hiring of any person as a public employee and negotiations and matters which if discussed in public would likely affect adversely the reputation of any person other than a member of this board unless such person requests an open meeting.
So moved.
Then,
Second. Roll call, Mr. Cunningham,
Yes.
Mr. Billings.
Yes.
Ms. Merrill,
Yes.
and I vote yes, Ms. Rich.
hey, we're in non-public.
Love Mr. Parsons.
Thank you.
I hope you have an next.
Thank you so much. I think we did like
How are you,
32
Chris?
minutes.
We did.
Yeah,
How are you?
because.
Let's move right along.
How are you?
It's coming